I'm Julie Herman of Jaybird Quilts and Lazy Girl Designs, and welcome to the Great Gift Sew-Along. We wanted to get crafty with you as the holiday season approaches, so I've put together the best of our best patterns for you to make handcrafted gifts for your loved ones with ease and joy. We'll be making Perfect Pouches by Lazy Girl Designs, Rock Candy Table Topper by Jaybird Quilts, Sweetpea Pods by Lazy Girl Designs, and finishing up with the Candy Dish Pillow by Jaybird Quilts. Welcome back to making the Candy Dish Pillow. Now that we've pieced our pillow top, it's time to work on quilting and finishing the pillow. Sign up to receive the sew-along emails and worksheets at the link posted in the video description below. Let's get started. There are some considerations to make when deciding on how to quilt something that is fussy cut. In this case, I really wanted the animals to shine, so I sent this off to Teresa Silva for custom quilting. And she echo quilted on the outside of the animals. She made sure not to have any quilting lines that went through them. And then she did some graphic lines in the background. If you're going to send something small like this to a long arm quilter, I'd suggest sending a couple small things at the same time on one backing. It can save you money and make your quilter happier that they only have to load the machine once. After your candy dish is quilted, it's time to go ahead and cut it into a square so that we can finish the pillow. Now before this was quilted, it measured 16.5 inches from top to bottom. But quilting tends to shrink things, so if I measure it now, you'll see it's about 16 inches. It's not always consistent across the project. In this case, it seems to be, which is great. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim the top and bottom to 16 inches, and then I'm going to trim the sides. So I'm simply going to line my ruler up on top of my raw edge, and Teresa put a basting line here. If you don't have that from your quilter or yourself, it is helpful to add that so none of the pieces curl up at all. And I am simply going to line this up directly on top of the raw edge and cut. And now since I have extra here because I sent a couple things at once, I'm just going to trim this off so that I'll be able to see that nice clean cut edge. Rotate this around. And again, I'm going to line it up. If you have a ruler that is bigger than 16 inches, a large square ruler, you can opt to cut this with a large square ruler. Many people don't have one, so that's why I'm showing you this option. I'm going to trim the rest of this off. Okay, so now what I'm left with is a wide piece that is 16 inches tall. Now my piece is wider than 16 inches, and that is because of how it was pieced. So I have from the edge here to the edge here about 17 inches. So I need to decide which side I want to trim off more. Do I want that to be even? There's no right or wrong to this. You're not making sure that you keep the points of these hexagons in. So I generally will line everything up first on the right. And trim. And then now what I need to do is make sure that I'm at 16 inches. Now you could use your lines on a mat to do this, but I find that mats are not as accurate as rulers, and they often do not match each other. So I prefer to always trust the ruler. So I'm going to measure 16 inches, and I'm going to cut like so. But I'm realizing that I'm going to lose all of this. So I think I am going to rotate this back. This is one reason why it is best to cut less in the beginning rather than more, because you can always trim more. I think I'm going to trim a little bit more before I trim the other side. It's about somewhere between another quarter to another half. So turn that around, and again, let's see where 16 is. Sure that's flush at the top. 16 here, and I like that. I'm going to get a little bit of those hexagons. So I'm simply going to cut there, and I'm going to leave this folded over and just cut in smaller segments down. Another option would be if I have multiple rulers to stack them this way. I can show you what that looks like. So if you have multiple rulers, you could go this way. These two don't add up to 16, but I could add a third one, and you can line them up this way, and then you can cut the whole length. Or a third option to this is, once you have it started, line this up, square on both sides, and trim. Okay. Now I have a nice square piece to work with. And the next step is to decide on my backing fabric. And I have decided that I want to use this ladybug print. So I'm going to pull out my pattern to see how big I need to cut my two pieces for my back. I am making an envelope back, and they are going to overlap in the back. There are other ways to finish a pillow. You can install a zipper. You can just have a solid back, and you can fill it with fiberfill and go ahead and sew it closed. I like the envelope back because it's simple. You don't need to install a zipper, but it's still easily removable if you want to be able to wash your pillow cover. This looks like my fabric's not perfectly folded. Let's get that nice and lined up. So I'm going to trim a square edge to start with, and then I'm going to go ahead and cut my backing pieces. Gone ahead and folded my 1/4 inch twice, and I decided not to press. I just put some clips in place to hold it. And I am going to sew from this side so that I can make sure I'm catching my edge. And I've put matching thread into my machine that matches my pale blue of my backing. And I'm simply going to stitch along here to enclose my raw edge. And I'll continue to do this for the length of the piece and do it to one long side for each of my two backing pieces. I like to put labels on my projects. I have these small woven labels that I tend to put in the edge of a project, and then I have the binding cover up a little bit of this white here. But I can make this work for the pillow. Since this is going to be my top and come over my other piece, I want to put this label here. So I'm going to slide this in, and technically this top edge is raw, and there's just a lot of white there. So I think I'm going to tuck that in. And then I'm simply going to top stitch around this label to add this to my back piece before adding it to my pillow. It's just a nice, simple little touch. Gives it a little bit more finish. Now I could have switched to white thread here since my label is white, but I just decided to keep my pale blue in. If I was using something that was very high contrast from my white, I might have made a different choice. Now I'm ready to take this back over to my design area to finish my pillow. Now that we have the raw edges enclosed on our back pieces, it's time to put it all together. Now there's two different ways to finish a pillow like this. You can finish it with and without binding. I make my candy dish pillows without binding. If you're interested in seeing how you make a pillow with binding, there's a link below to a different pillow that I have made with binding. So to put a pillow together without binding, I'm going to first take the top piece, because that's the piece I want to be most on the outside, and I'm going to line up my 3 raw edges of my top piece, and then I'm going to take my second piece and put it like this. And you want to make sure that your 2 hemmed sides are to the inside so you don't have any raw edges. And now I'm going to take wonder clips or pins, whatever you got, and clip or pin around the project to hold all 3 layers in place before heading back over to the sewing machine. I have switched from an open foot to a 1/4 inch foot, and that way I am going to have an accurate 1/4 inch seam in sewing these together all the way around my piece. I'm going to begin on a side. Since I have 3 layers here, I don't want things to shift, so I find it's best to start at this point. And I am going to backstitch over the areas where my panels end. So here, and then I'll backstitch when I get to here. It's just some reinforcement of some extra stitches. There is going to be strain in that area, and you want to give it its best chance of staying together very well. And I'm simply going to remove the clips as I go and sew around my piece. Now when I get to my corner, I'm going to stop about a 1/4 inch. I'm going to turn and check. Looks like I need to do 1 more stitch. All right, that's good. Sorry for the sound all those clips are making. I still clipped all the way around. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue down this side, and I'm going to repeat till I make my way back to where I started. I've made it all the way back around to where I started, so I'm going to go ahead and cut my threads. I have one last thing that I want to do on this side before I turn it right side out, which is I want to reinforce my corners. Right now, I just got to my corner and turned. I want to do some stitching across the corner just to reinforce things, and then I am going to trim the excess off so there's less bulk on the inside here when I turn my pillow right side out. So I'm going to use my reverse, just go forward, back, a couple times. And I'm going to repeat that process in all 4 of my corners. Now that I have finished reinforcing all of my corners, I'm going to take a pair of scissors and I'm just going to cut to the right, cut off all that excess so that I have less bulk in this corner when I turn my pillow. After sewing the backing pieces to the quilted pillow, it's time to turn it right side out and put in a pillow form. The advantage of a pillow form over stuffing is that you can take it out to wash it. I'm simply going to turn this right side out and push out my corners. I generally use my hand and poke at each corner. If you want a crisper corner, you can stick something in there. Just don't stick something sharp, but the heat-resistant stiletto works pretty well. You can get it in there and push out the corner a little bit more. Then once all 4 corners are pushed out, it's time to insert the pillow form. I'm going to start by inserting it in the top 2 corners, It's the easy part because you have the flap right here. Then I'm going to reach in and get the other piece out from the center, tuck the pillow in, and then just let it slide into place. Then there's just some fluffing to do to make it nice and perfect, and there you go. Thank you for tuning in here today. I really hope you have enjoyed the Great Gift Sew Along. I have really enjoyed being here with you over the last few weeks as we have worked to create perfect pouches, rock candy table toppers, Sweetpea pods, and candy dish pillows. If this video and series were helpful for you, please make sure to like the videos, share your comments with us, and click here to subscribe to the channel. Here are links to the other Great Gift Sew Along videos and some of my other videos you might like. Sign up to receive the Sew Along emails and worksheets at the link posted in the video description below. I hope to see you back here soon for our next Sew Along.